Okay, today we're actually just we'll stop right at 9 our time, just an hour today because I have much to say in quality, but not much to say in quantity. Yeah, very much. Bust a Phil Sorrentino and use few words to go the furthest. That's what I've got going on. I want to show you 3 videos. We won't watch the whole videos, but we'll watch hopefully 5 minutes of each. And today's topic is working hard in private. There we go. Working hard in private. Working hard in private. That's what I'm talking about. Now, of course, you all know to work hard. And you know to work hard in private. But I guess I'm showing a model for this. It should be more accurately what to do in the gap. And I think that's very important. Remember, there's a gap between where you currently are right now and what you want to be successfully in. There's a huge gap. Go ahead, Phil.
Would it be more appropriate, and I don't know what your message is, working smart in private?
Actually, that is absolutely more accurate. Yeah, so let's change that to working smartly in private. There we go. Boom. All right, that's actually far more fantastic because you know the old adage, how did you get so much wood chopped? Well, I kept stopping and sharpening my axe. You know, that whole idea there. When I was writing the book United Cities of Solaria, which I'm already on, so every book is already written. I did the first draft of all 4 books before I ever told y'all anything. And then the first book was rewritten 4 more times. And the second book is only going to take 3 drafts because I'm getting better. And then I expect the third one to stay at 3 drafts. Like I don't want to do anything less than 3 due to I have a Christopher Nolan-ness about my he's probably my favorite director, and I like to put these hidden themes and motifs all around, and you can't. It's easy to do that when you go back. When you know every single thing that's there, then you go back to the beginning, and then you start setting things up, right? You start setting things up that people didn't see. So I want to show you how I did this for the book, but don't think about the book. I want you to think about the fact that you're about to launch your company and something needs to show the great potential of your company. Something. It doesn't have to be the best yet, but there needs to be one element that you have mastered that people can defend all the errors in your prototype. And there will be errors. There will be blood. You're not launching your company on February 1st, and blood is not in the water. I promise you, it will not be well. And it's not supposed to be well, and your customers aren't expecting it to be well, at least not the first 16% of your customers. They're not expecting it to be well. They're expecting one element to be done in a manner that shows you know what you're doing and shows that you're on to something. And as long as you can do that, you can continue to get new customers because everybody expects a product to get better, right? Everybody just expects that. At some point, it will get better. Even if you don't make it better, just sheer technology over time will make that product better, just over time. A bra today is not the same thing a bra used to be back in the 40s. It's just not the same thing. Man, it's just technology will make it better over time. So we're talking about working smartly in private. Thank you to Phil, because that's exactly what I actually meant. So let me give you what I had to do. I knew for sure that I could write, because I mean, considering the fact that I've been writing, and I'm one dude that had like secret little poems, Amanda, under my tablet. I mean, under my bunk bed. You know, I write poems. Don't read my poems; they're private. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You write stuff and don't want nobody to read it. I know I can write. And then school forced me to be a great writer. But switching from business to novels was different. It was a lot different. It was actually one of the, to this date, I consider it one of my greatest accomplishments, if not my greatest accomplishment, because it's something that I just really worked hard at and like to do. And I understood, Deanna, that I sucked. See, I need to, I gotta do it again. I did all that talking to set this up and I missed it. I knew I could write, and I knew I could do everything. And I knew I did not suck at business writing, but I knew the moment I switched genres, I sucked. With all that skill, all that talent, I knew this book was going to be garbage. I knew that. And I went in knowing that. Now, I went knowing that I was going to make it the most beautiful, excellent garbage on the planet, because spirit of excellence. You're going to get the best garbage out of me, Grace. Because I'm not going to do it halfway. Like, I'm not going in there defeated. I'm going in knowing I suck. I don't understand the art of the genre I moved into. I know how to write and I know my story. There were so many things that I did not have right, but I kept doing it anyway. Man, I'm really, really making some solid points here. This was hot, steamy garbage. It really was. It was hot, steamy garbage. It really, 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 really was. But I kept going. So I'm not telling you, Amanda, to just keep going, keep fighting. No. I'm telling you that your first product, when you on February 1st, when you launch your company, it's going to be hot garbage. But there needs to be one element that makes people go, okay, I can see what he's doing. I can see what she's doing, and I'll buy the book. I'll get the DVD service and have it mailed to me. Netflix, all right? I'll do that. It has to be something there that is disruptive and you're good at it. Something there that's disruptive and you're good at it. So what I did on the first draft that I thought, Phil, was the greatest thing on the planet. I really did. Of course I did. Because I think everything I do is the greatest thing on the planet, Grace. So I'm like I'm a paradox. I'm like, this is the greatest garbage on the planet, and this is the greatest non-garbage on the planet. I knew it. This is just ugh. And I didn't even let anybody read it. I didn't even let anybody read it. I wrote the book without learning everything about the craft. In between first draft and second draft, I went and learned, okay, one thing I need to do is I need to write a better villain now. In the first draft of my book, I don't think the villain shows up to like chapter 18. There's 21 chapters in the book. You know, that's whack. Well, that's nice to y'all. I like villains more than I like heroes. So that's just whack. That's just, that's whack. But I did a good job on how to do villains. Then between second draft and third draft, this is what happened. I took a master class. Let's see. Between the second draft and the third draft, I spent a very long time. I can't even tell you how many months. Here's all my notes. Okay, we're going to Let's pay attention to these notes. Look at these notes. Now watch this. We're going to give you a couple. Let me put my video up so I can see y'all. Between the second draft and the third draft, here's my notes. Look, it's just called The Craft. This is when I went to go study the craft. Now, before we go into detail of these notes, I'm going to just scroll down so you can see. Y'all see the little cursor over here? Right there. I'm going to scroll down so you can see. Here's the beginning there. There's the cursor. Just scroll down. Before we go into the details, this how much.
That's quite a bit of notes because your cursor is real small.
It's real small. It's real small. It's how much is in here. Right. Just how much is in here. Okay. And this just, oh my God, just a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. And this is just the craft. And this is what I decided it would be. But this isn't the only note because I sucked at something else that I got a whole another note equally as long, Grace, as that one. And it's right here. So I'll let you know this one is how to write great dialogue. Now there we go. So here's the craft. So basically, I have a bunch of links that I just need to keep referencing for myself. Why Christopher Nolan's Interstellar, you need to watch it more than once. How he's a genius. I don't even know what this is. Oh, that's Agents. That's something Deanna was working on. 106 ways to describe sounds. 275 creepy things to say to people. Why do I want that? Well, that's obvious because I like petty villains, you know, them hot one-liners, the heroes. And then, the best 23 villains of all times, you know. So this is Hollywood people talking to Hollywood people, and then, you know, all sorts of stuff, and some quotes, and then bam. And then here it is, Chinese fighting structure. The Chinese have been along, or almost as old as Africans, okay? Chinese fighting structure, and I do that. I break that down thoroughly. And then how to make a good fight scene, structure of a fight scene, all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. And then I start going into writing a great villain. Remember this, okay? I want y'all to remember this. Writing a great villain. Remember this, because you're about to watch this video. Writing a great villain. And then let's go, and then the anti-hero, and blah, blah, blah. So it's a bunch. Villain, protagonist, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a bunch. Then I go to how to write a great dialogue. And I do some other stuff. I do some other stuff, and bam, bam, bam. And I stop writing, and I start mastering the craft. So the third draft was a home run hit. But I need you to receive, Adonia. I sucked until the third draft was complete. Until the third draft was complete, damn one of y'all should have bought a book. Not even my kids. It'd have been a waste of your time. An absolute waste of time it would have been. It would have been an absolute waste of time. So what is today? Working smartly in the gaps. What did I have? What did I have, Amanda? I had a large gap. The gap was, this book is not out. There is no celebration. There is no bestseller. So what am I supposed to do? I'm going to master the craft when nobody's applauding me. Nobody can see it. Uh-oh. I don't care what y'all say. I know I'm striking some chords now. When nobody can pat me on the back, when nobody can encourage me, I'm working in them gaps. When I get no credit, how many of you can work in a gap when you're going to get nothing from it? not even a spiritual revelation, absolute no reward whatsoever. And you know the work you're going to do is going to be useless because you're going to do it 2 more times for another year. But that is where it all came alive. Why? Because I realized I don't like heroes. I don't. Just me personally. I don't like heroes. I just don't. I don't like heroes. I like villains. So what happened, my book changed from the first 2 drafts of the book really wasn't a book that I want to read myself. Okay. It changed. It changed. Go ahead, Phil.
But I don't think you want to put that on your business card.
I don't like heroes.
I don't like heroes. I like villains.
Yeah.
I'll lead with that.
You're about right. You're about right for sure. For sure. So what I liked was what's called an anti-hero or a villain protagonist. So I didn't know that though. I just know I didn't like heroes. It wasn't until I started learning the craft that the heroes I like are like Wolverine, Deadpool, Magneto, things like that. I like the hero that's not a hero, but you end up, what's Godfather, even though he turns full bad, Corleone. Anyway,
Don Corleone?
Don Corleone. There you go. Don Corleone. You can't help but root for him, even though he's killing everybody. You just can't help but root for him and stuff like that. So this is what I like. And I realized that. So I want to encourage you all. I'm just like, we're going to talk for another 43 minutes about working smartly in this gap. And it's very important because your business is going to launch and it's not going to be pretty. It's just not. Go ahead, Phil.
I think the most recent example is Walter White on Breaking Bad.
Yes. Yes. And Breaking Bad was one of the things that took my writing to the next level. As I was studying, it was a bunch of
Dexter.
Dexter, yeah. Yeah, both of them. Both of them are great. Both of them. It was Breaking Bad that pretty much changed the book forever. It really did. Because Breaking Bad starts off with what the hell? Like it's like, it's what is this guy doing in his underwear? Right? Stuff like it starts off right there, just perfect writing. And then, it starts off with a flashback. And that's when in the 3rd draft, I start putting flashbacks in there. I start doing all sorts of stuff, there's all sorts of stuff. So I want you to receive that I had to, like the first book, the first version, the second version, and the 3rd version, the 3rd version was unsucky, but it wasn't good. It was just unsucky. But the first 2 versions sucked. 4 and 5 are just miraculous masterpieces. There's no doubt about it. This is my very, very best effort. And I've gotten feedback from some good people. But here's the point. Melissa, you're going to launch something on the 1st, and it's not going to be good. You're going to believe it's good. It's going to suck. And it has to be something there that you went back and studied the craft. Somebody understands coffee better than you, or whatever you're launching, right? Deanna, you're going to launch a journal, but did you study the ins and outs of journals? And I'm not saying you did, and I'm not saying you didn't. I'm not expecting you to. What I'm saying is, if you know you didn't, then what you do is you go study those ins and outs of journals, and then your journal has an upgrade in March, but not, I'm sure you consider publisher upgrades, but it's upgrade on your website. And the website has these tools that inspire people to keep buying the journal, because Grace is going to buy the journal. And Grace is going to go, okay, this isn't the best, but I do like this one thing about it. But in March, she's going to go, man, they added this. Okay, this journal, I must have, let me keep doing it. Let me keep going back. Let me keep going back, because you're not looking for customers. You're looking for lifetime friends who buy from you. Am I making sense here? I can assure you, who's Grace? Well, I don't want to use you. Melissa, would you? Your hair looks amazing, by the way, too. It's just swoopity swooped.
Oh, thank you. This is a non-comb. Just let it do it once today.
Oh, okay, well, keep it up. That looks good. It looks good. So I drooled in it this morning, and it's perfectly fine. Right? I want to ask you how old are you, but I'm not going to ask you that because my grandmother just smacked me on my hand when I thought about asking from the grave. She just did that. How do you remember the 80s?
Yes.
Outstanding. There we go. Did Disney have anything of your heart in the 80s?
No.
What in the 80s that is around today had your heart? Nike, Catholic Church, Apple.
In the 80s.
Mm-hmm. There's still some companies still around.
Crayola.
That is actually an example I didn't expect, but what a great example. What a great example. How the hell you think Crayola? That's a great example, though.
I was coloring. I was born in the 80s.
Okay.
So, I'm under 10 in the 80s.
Okay. That makes sense. No, that makes total sense. That makes total sense. Good. So we have Crayola. And Crayola is still here today, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting concept, because you can use a crayon. How many times have you bought coloring book materials and it wasn't from Crayola?
Very seldom.
That's my point. Okay. But Deanna, hurry up and hit ahead. No, Crayola isn't the only color out there, Deanna. So
But
yes,
it's
it
the
is.
only one that
Again,
colors like Crayola.
Okay,
thank
it is.
you.
So,
Thank
all
you.
right, then.
There are
That-
others, but only Crayola leaves that smooth
It's
finish
either
at the end.
Crayola or I do a high-end art color pencil, but that's for
Right. That's for doing self-portraits and masterpieces and stuff. Exactly. And Crayola don't go up there. Gotcha.
No.
Completely understand. But I get it. We're building lifelong friends who buy from us. Both of you ladies and Frida, she just jumped in there. Me and Crayola have been friends for a long time. You're friends with these. You're friends with these companies. You know what I'm saying? You're friends with these companies. Disney, for some of you, you've been friends with Mickey Mouse. I think if I'm not mistaken, Mickey Mouse is like the oldest cartoon character ever, or something like that. Whatever it is, some weird statistic.
Antonio,
Yes, sir.
I'm in the shower, but I had to unmute to say this. Man, so many people are terrified of what you're saying about thinking of their customers as lifelong friends that they're buying from. Because these people are tired. These people are afraid of asking the friends that they already have to buy from them. They're like, how can I think of my customers as my friends? Because then I'm not even going to be able to sell to them.
Yeah, right. But he's right. He's right. Adonia, this should feel real good, Adonia, because she don't even like selling, right? Don't even like selling. But when you think about this idea that we're going to grow together, I promise you the first Crayola probably wasn't perfect. But they kept getting better, and they kept getting better, and they kept getting better. Sure, the first Crayola had 6 colors in the box, or the colors of the rainbow. Colors of the rainbow. But now, I see Deanna said they got 120 pack. I know they got more than that too. I've seen more. So what I did was I went study the craft. I want you to, now, I learned so much from this video. I'm gonna show you 3 videos. I learned so much. I'm not telling you to learn. But what I am saying, Grace, is this is what I did in the gaps. And it has a really, really good point. And I'm gonna show you here in a second. Make sure you can hear Grace from me because my settings were different yesterday.
How do you create a memorable
Yep, we
villain?
can hear.
While there's no guaranteed recipe, we've isolated some characteristics that recur in some of the best movie villains.
The world is changing.
In this episode of Page to Picture, we tackle how to write a villain.
Here he comes.
We'll be identifying and breaking down 3 villain archetypes. For each type, we'll evaluate their defining characteristics and examine how writers have tackled these villains previously.
It's a very nice suit. To be ashamed to ruin it.
We've imported the screenplays into Studio Binder to see how these villains actually get written on the page. We'll be spoiling the following movies. Let's get started. First up, The Mirror. These are the villains that are the opposite of the hero, but also share certain traits, values, or methods. They are 2 sides of the same coin. This is Magneto to Professor X, Kylo Ren to Rey, and Voldemort to Harry Potter. Here's K.M. Weiland's definition. Mirror characters tend to share several qualities and are used to complement and highlight each other's traits. Because of this unique and close relationship, mirror villains are best utilized when not only creating external conflict within the plot, but also internal conflict within the development of the hero himself. For a fantastic example of a mirror villain, let's look at The Dark Knight, written by Jonathan and Christopher Nolan. Start by assigning parallel traits to the hero and villain.
You complete me.
Both Batman and the Joker are relative outsiders to their own kind. The Joker lays out this comparison on page 86.
To them, you're just a freak. Like me. They need you right now. But when they don't, they'll cast you out. Like a leper.
Next, decide how the villain will challenge the hero's sense of purpose. Do they challenge the hero's worldview or sense of morality? Here's Christopher Nolan on the Joker's role as the Mirror. He's a very human monster. As the Joker does things in the story, it tests the characters. He forces them to confront things about themselves. The Joker forces Batman to break his one rule of no killing by making him choose between saving Harvey or saving Rachel.
Don't worry, I'm gonna tell you where they are. You'll have to choose. He's at 250 52nd Street, and she's on Avenue X. That's just a...
Which one you going after?
Rachel.
But being the mirror villain, the Joker knew he would pick Rachel and tricked him to the wrong address.
No!
This sequence of events ultimately pushes Batman to question his very purpose.
I was meant to inspire good, not madness, not death.
The Joker also challenges Harvey Dent's sense of morality in this scene.
Oh, and you know the thing about chaos? It's fair.
Harvey succumbs to the Joker.
You live. You die. Now we're talking.
And becomes a villain of his own.
Okay, we'll stop right there. Needless to say, my mind was blown while watching this video. Okay, just blown. And it just absolutely blown away. So my first and second draft was an external story, Grace. It did nothing. It did nothing for the science of having the external story also tell the internal story of the protagonist. It did nothing. Absolutely nothing. Neither did I understand There's an art to this. Now, so just to get you to see what I'm talking about, here's my notes again. And when you come down to the villain section, here is every single major point in that whole video. The opposite of the hero, but share certain traits, values, methods. There are two sides of the same coin. Magneto to Professor X, Kylo Ren to Rey, Voldemort to Harry Potter, Black Panther to Killmonger. Mirror characters, right? This literally, that's what we just talking about, mirror characters. I bolded. Christopher Nolan says the Joker is a very human monster. As the Joker does things in the story, it tests characters he forces himself to confront. What they said in the video, I wrote down. The Joker forces Batman to break his rule of no killing, but forcing him to choose between by forcing him to choose between Harvey Dent and Rachel. This sequence pushes Batman to ultimately question its very purpose. The Joker also challenges Harvey's Dent's sense of morality. Harvey succumbs to, like, literally, that's word for word. And and it's more, like, they're going to do more, word for word. And what I did is I began to realize the Joker in Christopher Nolan's second one, he made Batman a villain and the White Knight a villain, because he was the greatest villain. And he did that, and the whole time that was happening, the moviegoers were like, oh my God, this is amazing. Didn't even understand why. Because you don't have to understand the craft to enjoy something. Something in us just knows when it's well done. And when something is well done, we tell everybody how much well done it was. We freely throw money at that thing and support it. I'm going to say that again. The person generating the product, so if it's done well, will have all these secrets in there that you don't understand. And I'll give you some here in a little bit. Have all these secrets in there.
Antonio,
Yes, sir.
even sales are like that.
Yeah.
Sales are like that. Like the sales presentation you do, it's almost like a guaranteed lock and key combination. Once you like hammer in all those factors, including careful listening and all of that, once you do it, it's like almost as if it's press command enter, because from the other side, just like ATM giving out cash, the prospect gives out cash, provided that they're actually like they fit. You cannot just sell anything to anyone who doesn't even need it. But like, as long as they're qualified, you do the right thing, the money just comes as if it's coming out of as predictably as if it's coming out of an ATM.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's absolutely correct. And every person understands that. Every person getting money, being successful understands that, because money is just a side effect of doing something excellent. The money will automatically come if you are excellent. If you if you just joining us, please understand that I'm not telling you about my book. I am using my book to tell you, but I'm spending more time on this here. You don't even know nothing about the book. Here's the deal. We're working smartly in private. That's what we're talking about. Because your business is going to suck on the first when it comes out. But there must be some effort that you go back, Deanna, from January 19th to February 1st that I heard, Antonio. Melissa, let's hold off real quick. Give me a couple of days. I'm going to see if I can add some stuff. Or no worries. If you can't, don't worry. But I tell you what, February 6th, we're still launch. Anybody get that, get that. But then let's do another version on February 21st or something. I don't know. I don't care. That ain't got nothing to do with me. But what I am stressing is the law of compensation. You only get what you are putting out. You go, well, Antonio, I don't know. Grace, you still got the law of compensation written down as Bob Proctor shares it, or do I need to pull up the video? Because I would let him smack y'all. Okay. It's 3 parts in there, he say. What's the law of compensation, Grace?
All right, as I put it up in the notes.
You can share your screen too if you.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do that.
Save.
Yeah. If not, I'm gonna put him on the screen. He gonna whip y'all.
God bless. Hold on.
No, this is worth taking the time because, I'm
Ah,
glad that
okay.
I'm glad people get it, and Ibrahim gets it. I'm glad because this is important.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
It's
right
right
here,
there. Yeah.
law of compensation, the amount of money you earn is going to be an exact ratio for the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty in replacing you.
Thank you so much, Grace. 2 and 3 is what we focus on today. Money will automatically flow to you if your ability to do it increases. This is so hard for people to understand. You know why? Because you've been taught money is hard and chasing money is what you're supposed to do, and work hard for money. But I'm here to tell you, Melissa, if you work hard for money, the only time the universe will give you money is when you're working hard. You might want to be careful.
If anyone was watching Discord yesterday, I put an opportunity in
Good.
and I already made the investment back 10x.
See what I'm saying? That's so she don't have working hard for money in her her lexicon there. Lexicon is a dictionary, but it's a dictionary for one language. Right? It's just a dictionary for like Spanish and where everything comes from. Anyway, here's some things. If you keep watching that video, they'll tell you like the villain, like the better you make your villain, it's also the better you make your hero, because the hero must overcome the villain. So let's break all this down. You didn't come to the movies or my book or somebody else's book. I don't care if it's self-help, business, or a novel. It could be an erotic novel. You didn't come here for the hero to lose. You didn't buy the book on the 7 habits of influence people, if 7 habits of influential people, and go, and I know the author's going to tell me how none of this worked. That's not why you bought this book. You know that's not going to happen because all of us are hardwired to know that the hero always wins. Every religion says it, especially Christianity. Like every religion says, just hold up, Melissa, you will win. So we're not coming to a movie or a book. We're not looking at Ibrahim will win in his cartoons, but the universe is going to punch him in his face because the story is not him winning. The story is how clever can he be as he overcomes all this stuff in between. And the more he overcomes, the more successful he would be, because as human beings, we don't like our heroes to have it easy. We just don't. We just do not. And you are reading Harry Potter. You know Harry Potter gonna win. The trick is, do you know the art of making Harry Potter have it so difficult that it's entertaining? We're all here for the same reason. We're all here to win. So when you launch your business on February 1st, we're all expecting you to win. We're just saying, I'm not buying from you because I don't like that story you're telling. And that is all. And if you learn how to tell the story of your business, at least one element, you have the right to get somebody else to become your friend. Go ahead, Phil.
What we're really selling is hope.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the greater the struggle that the hero has that he works through and wins, the more hope that, well, we can win too.
That's right. And it's much needed, and it's wired into us. The bigger my hero, the bigger my villain is, if we know the hero is going to overcome the villain, it's also the stronger my hero is. As I make my villain stronger, I'm also making my hero stronger. And see, I didn't know that going into my first and second draft, Deanna. I didn't know that. I was just writing. I was just telling a good story. The third draft, I put all that stuff in there. Or actually, maybe 50% of this. The fourth has 100%. I even showed you all these notes. I have, if you put it in pages, I don't know, maybe 2,000 pages just of notes on this craft. Here's some hidden things that I did that you have no idea that I did. It almost ruins, but I'll give it to you anyway. Okay, I'll give it to you anyway. So a villain, we was just talking about that. You just said you got the mirror villain, the lumen villain, and I forget the other one. So I decided to mix my villain with, not only is my villain a mirror of the hero, but it's also a looming threat. My villain is a looming threat. And the threat starts off chapter 1, just right there in the first paragraph. And no matter where you go, you can't escape this villain. You don't see the villain for a while, but you see I have the heroes continuously walking in the wake of what the villain has done. Chapter 1, opening line says you're watching the hero kill somebody. And then the next scene, it's a real short scene, the next scene goes to our heroes looking for the person that just was killed. Now, the hero don't know it, but the audience knows this is a waste of time, buddy. This is a waste of time. This dude is already dead. I don't know what you're doing. He is dead. Why do I do that? Because I'm building characters and I'm attempting for you to see how far ahead the villain is, and I have to build the hero character. Where I get that from? Working on the craft. It just is what it is. And I'm telling you that, Deanna, Grace, when you do your venture capital on the first, you're going to suck. It just is what it is. But your form on your website need to be fantastic. The questions asking people, you need to put some thought into it. You get what I'm saying? Okay, go ahead, Phil.
I think I've said this before, but never underestimate the value of a shitty first draft.
Absolutely. 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 Because my shitty first draft was a blessing, because I knew how the story started. I knew how it ended. I knew who was going to die. Now, was it readable? No, not even close. It wasn't. But it was a map. It was a map for sure. What do you feel is the best dictation program for writing? You talking about speak and then write? Because that's what dictation means. You're talking about that? Because if so, I really don't know. I'm not going to, okay, yeah, I don't know. That may be for Melissa. Speak and write. I know we're still
Otter.ai.
Oh, okay, well then there you go.
OTTER. Also, another thing, you know what? I just forgot. I actually unmuted to say something else.
Yeah, as soon as it come back, let me know. Yeah, Otter AI, I use it. I've been recommending it to you. I know like Tyrell got it. Yeah, OTTER.ai. It actually syncs up to Zoom too. It actually syncs up to Zoom as well. Yeah, very, very good. Yeah, that's the best one I know. I didn't know it was the best. I've been looking for a good one and found out, but I didn't know it was the best for sure. For sure. Deanna, here's some stuff. Melissa, here's some stuff that I did that you just don't know. I like thrillers, and I like suspense because it's the books I like to read. In order to have a thriller, you have to have a few elements. You have to have a world, and the thriller must be answering one dramatic question. It must be. It must be answering one dramatic question. I didn't know that. The hero has to have, I mean, the thriller must have a hero, even if it's an anti-hero. And the hero must have a goal. And then the hero must have something that he or she wants to accomplish. And then once you know the world, because you can't have a hero without putting a hero in the world, because the world becomes an obstacle for the hero as well. So once you have a hero in the world, And then once you understand the soul dramatic question, once you then give your hero a goal that he or she is trying to accomplish, then you got to put as many obstacles in front of that hero as possible to get to that goal. Because that's what the story lies in. That's what the story lies in. And you go, man, that's a lot. Yeah, yeah. And then guess what? If you really, Grace, are writing a good story, the villain must win at least once. Now, Antonio got multiple villains because it's books I like to write. All right? I got multiple villains. It's books I like to write. But the villain must win at some point. The hero must lose. Are we the hero of our own stories? Sir, you're getting my esoteric point. We're all on the hero's journey.
Antonio.
Yes, sir.
Especially professional speakers, they are telling stories, comedians are telling stories, media personalities are translating whatever new thing is happening as a story. So a story is important for pretty much anyone to build any audience. And to re-examine any story from your sales pitch to your biography as a thriller, I think it's a very interesting take. Because I'm not in your genre, so I'm in humor, right? What I did is I wrote 2,000 word essays, right? These were funny essays, and then I completely just concentrated down to 1 or 2 sentences that would form 1 or 2 cartoons. And the book and Instagram is doing pretty well, 20% of the way to my goal. Okay.
Yeah.
So that aside, the whole distilling process, it really just re-emphasized that quality is a byproduct of quantity. Quality is an accident that happens once your volume is high enough. And that was the point about the draft as well. It's just that you're putting in the excellence of writing 3 books into 1 book by writing 2 drafts. It really is that. So filtering your own story as a thriller, like learning from you all these elements that you've learned because you're actually writing a master thriller. So people are learning from a future best-selling thriller writer how they can re-examine their presentations, their stories, their everyday conversation stories as thrillers. And thrillers are excellent. They're quite literally the only thing they do is they hold they're suspenseful. Re-examining your own stories, having these elements, having the ticking clock, having the world-ending stakes. So many of the professional speakers do it so brilliantly. They're a millionaire, but when they're telling a story about them being homeless, you're wondering, hey, did he make it? Of course he made it. He's in front of you telling a story, sold 1 million books. But when they're telling their story, they're doing it so masterfully, everyone's drawn to them. So stories are excellent attention holding tools, once again, and you've got to learn to distill your own stories and view them as thrillers. Everyone's got to do it. If you want attention, you got to be able to have people within the first sentence as if it's a thriller. It doesn't matter if it's a presentation about your business, how you started your business, your mission, whatever. Everything is a story. And every story, if it is re-examined as a thriller, at least guarantees that someone listens. So it can improve your conversion rate. I just want to re-emphasize why I, as a cartoonist, I, as a humorist, am listening to a guy talk about thrillers, because this is relevant. My books will not have thriller elements, but what I'll do to sell my books definitely will. Because when I'm going to go on a podcast, I better hope that by the first or second sentence, people want to hear my story. So re-examining your stories, removing the boring elements, putting in, quite literally, I'm going to do this with a notepad. I'm going to write down all the elements that you're going to talk about now in a thriller, and I'm going to just read my own stories from my life, and I'm going to see where I can put in a twist, where I can put attention to the world-ending stakes that were there for me at that time. Of course, now those stakes don't seem as real, but there was a time when $100 really did seem like a lot.
Oh yeah.
So going back to that and actually building up what the loss of a potential $100 sale would mean to the Ibrahim then really will make that story more of a suspenseful thriller kind of story that people will listen to, instead of people going like, oh yeah, once upon a time you lost like $100 sale, what's up? So really, it really is helpful what you're talking about. And I just wanted to bring everyone's attention to how this can be relevant to anything you're doing. Because thrillers are masters at grabbing attention. And tell me one thing you can really be successful at without being like good at grabbing attention.
Exactly. That was so good. When y'all just clap, please. That was so good. It really was. Because it's exactly, your business is coming out on the first and it's gonna suck. Can you create enough suspense for me to keep buying and stay with your company and keep reading your emails? This conversation has its relevancy. It really does. It really does. Go ahead, Phil.
Well, one story I tell that gives an idea of that $100 meant a lot. There were times when I was rolling pennies to put gas in the car that wasn't even mine to get to an appointment to tell people how to be successful.
Right. That is
and there's so much missing from that sentence that now I'm like, okay, I want to actually hear that story, you know? and guess what? That's how thrillers start. It's like, I was in Aruba doing this and that, and there was a dead body hanging and I didn't have a head. It's like, wait, let me see how this happened. So see what Phil just did was an element of a thriller. He just executed that in front of you, and he showed you how that is relevant, though he's not going to write a thriller. But he's already written many thrillers, which have sustained his career for over 80 years.
There you go. Can't say it no better than that. Like, really, it's very important. I'm going to, Melissa, do you mind? Grace, do you mind? May we have your voice? I know it's loud in the background, but may we have your voice?
Sir.
Okay. I want you to read what's on the screen for me, okay? I need to put on the screen, and then there we go. Okay. This starts after a prologue. This is the opening scene. And Grace, I just want you to read it. Is that okay? Move this out your way. Go ahead, Grace.
Chapter 1, present day. The back of young Jared's head throbbed, and a gnawing pain ate at his neck. He couldn't move. His vision was failing, and his neck was on fire. Young Jared kept trying to move, but it felt like he was trapped under a building. His left hand was free, but he was too weak to move. It was as if his life force was leaving his body. Is this a bad dream? He thought to himself. Why can't I wake up? The pain was so intense. Suddenly, the pain became so sharp that it felt like 1,000 ants were biting into the right side of his neck at the same time. I can't. Jared was in the middle of saying something, but it was pointless now. Young Jared died before he could finish his sentence. Oh.
I totally killed a 6-year-old opening my book. He is dead. It's over for him. Yes, my book starts off with a 6-year-old kid dying. And I write it from his point of view, because that's another thing. We'll talk about that one day. I write it from his point of view because we're all in our limited point of view. Since he don't know what's going on, you don't know what's going on. Perfect suspense. Since he don't know how he died, neither do you. I could have wrote it from the villain point of view, but I'd have gave you too much information. So I figured, let me write from the point of view that got the person that got the most to lose. And 6-year-olds can't explain something. Did I say felt like 1,000 quantum physics books? Nope. Kids understand ants. He had a heavy pressure on him. Did I say some big word? Nope. Felt like he was under a building. I used kid language, kid metaphors to get that done. And my point is, that's how it starts off. And the first draft, the second draft, third and fourth field did not have that. It wasn't until the fifth and final draft that I did that. You don't even find out that that kid is dead until like chapter 4, maybe. Fifth draft, I was like, nah, kill him right now. Kill him right now. The hero finds out that the villain is dead. Hero finds out the villain is dead. And then, you know what, Grace? Just one more time for the hood. Let's give you like the first two. That's the first scene. Now watch how normal this goes. Look, read that, Grace.
Police Chief Aiden Jamar was investigating a missing persons case. He was praying to God to let him save his good friend, Truth Parker's 6-year-old son, Jared.
You can stop right there, Grace. That's how the book started off. Boring. First draft, it started that way. Second draft, third, fourth, started that way. But as soon as I start perfecting that craft, I start learning. Yep. Keep this interesting the whole time. And what's more interesting than killing a 6-year-old kid? And I'm gonna tell you how I did it. I went to YouTube. I put up a video that said 10 hours of kids laughing. I did 10 hours of kids laughing. And I put on this villainous music right under it on the YouTube. And so I got this, you can't kill a kid. You can't do that. And I got this villainous music saying, man, F that kid. And that is exactly how it comes off written. Exactly how it comes off written. That's my deal. I have these things I do now that I never had because I work smartly in the silence. In that gap, I got you, Melissa. In that gap when nobody could applaud me, I was working on getting better. Go ahead, Melissa.
It's like with publishing. When I started 2018, I sucked. I never did what I'm doing now, which is actually taking the books before they're actually published to the public, getting them, making sure the formatting's right. If it's an interactive book, I automatically start working in it to see if it's interactive for my readers.
Oh, that's genius.
So Deanna privately said, can you start working on this? She didn't even know I would already do this because it's interactive.
I see that book that you're holding there,
She don't see it. She's on the phone. She's on the phone with my dad.
Yeah.
Take a screenshot for it, Grace. Take a screen. Pull it back up on the screen. Oh, you got to talk, Melissa, so you dominate the screen.
Yeah, I have it. So it's here. So I'm already doing what Deanna's asking me to do because I do this now as a publisher because I have to, because I found if it's not interactive for me, it's not going to be interactive for the readers.
Oh, man. There ain't no sense in you having a publishing company putting out trash books. Like, not all of them. You know what I'm saying? Somebody got to have a masterpiece in there somewhere.
I mean, that I see, I even have So Happy and Grateful here. It comes out in the 6th as well. But every book I'm publishing, I have a copy of now. That way I'm double checking my work as the publisher before it even gets a hand in to my customer.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And that's brilliant. That's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. I sent Ibrahim some stuff in lineup, but let me give y'all. So Grace, what do you need to write a thriller suspense? You need 3 C's. I hope y'all writing this down. What you need is you need a contract, you need a clock, and you need a crucible. Contract, clock, and a crucible. What's the contract? I'll copy and paste what I got down.
Hey, that's the Dan Brown thing.
That's the Dan Brown thing. Yep. I just brought it up and I said to you, the contract, clock, principle. And I was just going to say, And I got this from Dan
Guys,
Brown.
to learn this,
Yeah.
you'd have to pay $180 to Masterclass, but Antonio's giving you some secrets. This is from Dan Brown, best-selling author.
Absolutely. And thank God for Ibrahim, because Ibrahim referred me and I got a free pass and I got to look at it. And then Dan Brown sent me on like a quantum leap rabbit hole of going everywhere else to find more out about the craft. The contract, a crucible, and a clock. But here's the deal, Grace. What's a contract? I give it to you in simple terms, but I pasted what Dan Brown says immediately and give it to you in simple terms. As an author, I'm making you a promise. And I promise you, this is basically what he says in his masterclass. I promise you, I'm gonna answer that question. But you gotta turn the page to find out the answer. And he kept doing that in the masterclass, and I kept going, damn it. Wait a minute, that's brilliant. And I got it immediately. There you go. So right now, I killed the 6-year-old kid. I made you a promise. Grace, this boy died. I made sure I go young Jared. So what's the question you would have there, Grace?
Who killed him?
Exactly. I made you a promise. I'll tell you who killed him. But you got to turn the page to find out. All right.
Also, you're
Mhm.
doing it right now, just like Dan Brown did with his class. You're doing it right now. You're like, hey, I'm telling you how to do a thriller, you will figure out how this is relevant to whatever you're doing. But for that, you got to continue listening.
Got to continue listening.
The contract.
It's a contract. And then there's your clock. The first 3 drafts of the book did not have a clock. Clock just means that the reader must always think that time is running out. It has to be something there. It has to be something continuously pushing the hero. And you're going to
And
feel
for
like
this call,
Mhm.
and for this call, it's before Antonio says you can plant better, you can dominate. You're going to figure out how this will relate to whatever you're doing. So that's the clock.
That's it. That's the clock. In which I'm about to end sooner than I normally do. Go ahead, Phil.
Well, all sales turn on an impending event.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And what's that? Like you get it, Grace, you have to. The book was whack, Grace, until, you understand? Until I decided to study the craft. Crucible is, well, you can read it there, but just you can't let the story run away from you. You can't let your hero run away from you. And then another one of the things that I learned so well was how to write a fight scene, because the book got a lot of fight scenes. But it was the Chinese fight scenes that helped me best. The ancient Chinese fight structure is set, rise, twist, tie. You should really write that down.
Say that one more time.
Set, rise, twist, tie. And I never noticed it. But how many of you, as soon as we saw a Kung Fu movie of any kind, we immediately became black belts and went outside and started jumping around the house and furniture, and we knew karate immediately. You know what I'm talking about. Don't fool me now. We were martial arts experts immediately. Because the Chinese traditional fight scenes were never just fight scenes. They were set with a set, rise, twist, tie. Allow me to explain.
Oh, sir,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Before you do, Melissa, could you hold that up one more time?
Oh, yes.
Damn.
You got to look at that, Deanna. You got to look at Melissa's
Look
screen.
at Melissa, hold it up.
There you go.
See, you weren't here. You asked me something in private. I automatically do this as a publisher to make sure it's interactive for the readers.
Yeah.
You didn't even know what you're asking me. I already do this.
Oh, yay. Oh,
There you
goodness,
go.
it's pretty.
It is. It's printed and pretty.
It's printed, it's pretty. And I have an advanced copy because I have to make sure it's perfect before the 6th.
Look at that.
Thank you so much. Oh,
Yeah. Look at that. Yeah. Look who's ready for February 1st. Yeah. Look who's ready for February 1st. Good. Chinese fight scenes. What if I told you that in the fight scene itself is telling a story? Not just a fight, but it itself is telling a story. Here's what set means. The last thing I'm gonna cover. Here's what set means. Who is the audience? How many opponents are there? You know, what's the shape of the arena, the alley? And in this fight, in the set is where you set up the stakes. The higher the stake, the better the fight scene is. So if you have a fight scene, if you have a fight scene in your book and you can take that fight scene out your book and it does not change your book, you should not have a fight scene in that book. If the fight scene is not moving your plot forward, if it is not telling more of the story, you should not have that fight scene in your book. It's no different than just random nudity for no reason. If the fight scene can be taken out the book and it doesn't also tell a story, so the stakes got to be raised. And one of the best ways to have a fight scene is to have great stakes at cause. Because, Grace, what's the point of the audience knowing that the world is going to end if the world's really not going to end? Like you say, well, so what's the point of the Avengers fight scene? Well, the world's going to end. No, it ain't. No, it's not. But that's why Thanos could snap it away. Bigger stakes, wasn't it? Because if the world is not really in jeopardy, then you have not raised the stakes. If the hero's world is not really in jeopardy, you have not raised the stakes. Put it back to you now. If Ibrahim is on stage and doesn't put his career in jeopardy or yours, his speech is for nothing. Can I push it further? If you get on Instagram Live and you do an interview and you do not consciously let people know how much you have failed and how you tried everything else, and you got to this point and realized it was cartoons for me, you ain't saying nothing.
Antonio.
Yes, sir.
You know, the story of the widow's mite. It literally, the entire point of that story is lost until you know that that's like the only thing she had left. Like it was between that and dinner.
So right. So right. So right. Listen, Grace, what are the stakes of your VC firm? Because if you release it on the 1st and you ain't setting those stakes that your audience can hear, feel, and receive, they're not going to pay attention. They're not going to pay attention. I mean, you can call it fear of missing out if you want to, but I'm saying way more than that. I'm saying way more than fear of missing out. Way more. Way more. I really need y'all to take this talk seriously. I'm not just talking. I'm not just talking. This is important. This is vitally, vitally, vitally important because stories are so part of the human experience that before we had the written word, we passed down life-saving advice and recipes through oral tradition. So we're so ingrained for stories that I don't care if you have a good product. You can't sell the story. You will never have a best-selling product. Remember, let's put it back in the books real quick. It's not who's the best writer, it's who's the best seller. It could be the most well-written book of all time. If it ain't selling, no, it ain't. It's just not, it just don't work. Sorry. So I'm telling you that when I found out about the Chinese fighting method, set, rise, twist, tie, it blew my mind open. And I started applying it to everything. So in the set, you got to raise the stakes. You have to. You got to raise the stakes. Should a stake be sufficiently personal, you ain't even got to make the stakes high. You ain't got to save the world. If I'm fighting because if Phil is fighting because he's protecting Susan's life, those are some high stakes. That's a good story. That belongs in the book. And then the more you put Susan in danger, the more that fight scene is relevant. Now, I have to read. And of course, I know Phil's going to win, but I've got to create some things, which comes now to Rise. You know what? Ip Man has one of the greatest examples of this. Let's see if I can go find it real quick. Ip Man fight scene elevator. Oh, freaking awesome. Dog, it just is so awesome. YouTube is just such a god.
Help me maintain my moisture balance while exfoliating
like
with
everything's
CeraVe
here.
Renewing SA Cleanser.
You can hear, right? I'm going to stop when the set is done being established. Set. Notice the directors showing you. Look, he went back on purpose to show you how small this corridor was. That's why that wall's in there. He's giving you proportion. That's his wife. Uh-oh. Who's the villain? Who are the characters? Look at the face. Door closes. Taking off his shoes. Okay, right here. That's your set. Look. Hold this, honey. That's your set. Set has been set. I didn't mean to say it that way, but there you go. The set has been set. I know. Like, say it out loud, Deanna, because that's exactly my point.
You gotta let the fight scene play out. You can't do that with Ip Man, okay?
Okay, I know, but this is perfect, and this is my last example. This is perfect.
Antonio,
Yes, sir.
Can you do Daredevil fight scenes? Because it would be complete blind reaction from your part. Probably you haven't watched it, but it is one of in contemporary media. It is one of the most praised because of its fight scenes. So
Sure
it
can.
would probably be better if you're not her scene in a different show, She-Hulk, not that scene, but in the actual. So just write Daredevil Netflix fight. Any fight scene would.
Which one? Right here, the stairwell one. This
Oh
looks
yeah,
dope.
that will work. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, dear. Set. Look, the director's doing it again. Purposely showing you this is a terrible shot if they was not trying to set a set, but showing you the walls, you know you can stretch your hands out and touch both walls. They did it on purpose. So this set, establishing the set. There's your so set's done. That was fast. So he's fit to start fight. I'm assuming these are enemies. I've never seen this. Ibrahim's right. That's blind reaction. I'm gonna test it, but the fact that he's running now, that I saw him run, set establishment is over, and these must be bad guys. Let's test it. Yep. That was too easy. All right, great. Bam. That's set. Now I gotta pause it here. Because the Rise now, let's explain to you Rise. Rise is a short break after the fight begins, and it serves multiple purposes. A Rise it gives time to the audience to process the information given. It gives time for the audience to process the arena. It gives time for the audience to process what's at stake. It gives time for the audience to process what the opponent or the enemies are capable of. So if this is a good fight scene, which I'm sure it is, because Daredevil has such critical acclaim praise, especially the Netflix version, not only is the hero going to get smacked in the face and lose, there will be a break in the fight so you can catch up. Rise means I am rising the tension, because with tension, you got everybody's attention. Man, this turned out to be a better class than what I thought. So after the break, there's no reason to keep thinking about the set. Once the rise happens, once that little small break happens, forget dialogue. It's butt kicking time. It's pure action. So whatever's about to happen, there's gonna be a break. And after that break, you're gonna see pure action. And that's what's supposed to happen because the tension is so high. And it's gonna tell. So what does that mean? That means, so there's the emotion set right now, but after the break, it's gonna be more emotion. There's aggression set right now, but after the break, it's going to be more aggression. It's going to be more exchange in the fight builds. And it's like the director or the writer is punching the reader and then going, wait, I'm not going to punch you just yet. Let me hold back my hand so you can relax. And then I'll punch you in a little bit. That's what it's like. So let's test all this right now. So let's test it. I'll show you. If there's a rise in here, I will show you where it stops. In fact, hold on, let me do one more thing. Let me tell you what comes next, the twist, because if they don't have a rise, they're gonna go straight to the twist. Let me tell you what comes next, the twist. The twist is exactly what it sounds like. It's something that happens in the middle of the fight that changes the tide of the fight. It's when in one of the Ip Mans, when Mike Tyson gets bored and says, you know what, let's put a clock up. If you can hit me, if you can stand this long, then we can do this. Or when Bruce Lee brings out his nunchucks, that's a whole different fight now. You get what I'm saying?
You said it's something that happens in the middle of the fight that changes the what of the fight?
Changes the direction of the fight.
Direction.
Changes the direction of the fight. If the hero starts off at a disadvantage, the twist is the hero switches his style, or maybe like Rocky Balboa, he looks out to Adrian, he gets focused. There's so many. The good thing about this is you can do a twist in an infinite possibility of ways. Harry Potter sees his parents, you know.
Also, Antonio, in nonfiction, in autobiographical stuff, if you're selling something, that something has to be the twist. So it was like, oh, I got these diet pills and then I got slim. Or I got this journal and then my life got like this. I did this and then, so that has to be the twist. Because you're selling people the ability. They're in the fight and they want that twist for them so they can then get what they want. Boom. So in nonfiction.
Get it? Like if I didn't watch this humor person talk, I wouldn't have came up with the cartoons. And now that I came up with the cartoons, here's my mansion. that twist. So we're going to see a rise and a twist, or we're going to go from set to twist. But at some point, the fight will change. It could be a moment when maybe the hero's winning and the hero gets smacked in the face. It's going to be a surprise moment because the twist is meant to shake things up. It also pushes the emotion forward. Remember, your fight scenes need to tell a story. I have no idea. I've never watched the Netflix Daredevil. I just know it's been great. And I could tell you for sure that Marvel stuff is done so well. If you pull this fight scene out the movie, out the series, you can't tell the story no more. Something about this fight scene is important. It's important to the plot. So let's look at it. Netflix is the best of the best. Man, fair enough. That's what I keep hearing. So here we go. I'm going to pause it when the rise happens. That means it's going to be a break in the fight, or I'm going to pause it when the twist happens. Oh, wait a minute. My screen's still loading. Okay, there we go. Take it back a little bit.
Drop the gun! Drop it! You okay, sir? Yes.
Okay, right here is still the set, and the stakes are being raised.
I'm good.
All right, so there's your rise right there. A little temporary break. We'll see if they do another one. Guys kicking butt. All right, the twist in this fight was going into this narrow stairwell. Because now enemies can attack him from every place.
And also there was this moment where he actually came up confidently, pulled his gun up and shot, and there was no a bullet that came out. And he has actually taped the gun to his hand. So now he can't even open his hand. So that's a disadvantage. But as you can see, the set was very brief, and this was also very brief. And suddenly he just decided to use the fact that he has a gun in his hand as just a weighted glove to add more impact to his punches. Just
That's amazing. And it's well done. Brief or not, it's well done. Let's keep going. See how enemies can attack him from anywhere. Let me pause it. So the heroes at a disadvantage, not by the enemies, but by the set itself, because setting is also a character. It's one thing for James Bond to run down the street. It's another thing for James Bond to run down the street, jump on top of buildings, and now the chase of the enemy is from rooftop to rooftop in Brazil. The setting is also a character. That was judo, by the way, y'all.
so, Antonio, as you might notice, another big thing here that's different from other media is that once he punches them, they also still keep coming back. So he literally has to actually kill them if he wants to stop them, because they just keep coming back unless they're completely knocked out. So when he punches, they just don't, it's not like they vanish. They keep coming back and they keep chasing him. So that's definitely there. And another thing is he is getting exhausted. So he's not a hero with infinite. So he's ultimately fighting with multiple people, even though he outclasses them. He's actually getting exhausted.
Absolutely, absolutely. So no punch in the shoulder and someone gets knocked out. None of that stuff. And then this is definitely a rise. They put another one in here because this is a long break in the action. The audience now, my guess is, here's one. Well, here's the second set, and you're about to move into a third set with a greater enemy or a greater challenge. That's what has to happen. This is the rise. It's moving. The tension's building. You're thinking, oh yeah, well, there you go. Bigger enemies. And he's tired. So now it's just going to be pure chaos. There you go. Now the hero's at a disadvantage. That's the twist. Now the hero's losing. There's your twist right here. The hero's losing.
Officer called you one of the best pilots he's ever seen.
Lieutenant Tom Hudner, Jesse Brown. Can't take it, heavy.
All right, we got 15 seconds before we pop back up. That was real. That was real. So you see, the twist was the hero is now at a disadvantage because he's been kicking butt the whole time. Oh, that's it. There you go. That's how the scene ends. Now,
yeah, that's it. Because he actually just what he chose to do with the twist there, like his advantage was that there was a chain. And he was just in a position where he could just, do a somersault and just choke someone out with that chain. So it was very brief and suddenly it's over. So the scene is over now.
Right. Now, I explain one more thing to you, the tie. This is how you tie everything in, because the hero barely wins a fight by just winning a fight. He's winning a fight by something. There's an internal conflict that Daredevil was just going through. He just conquered some demon, something. The plot moved forward with him growing or him descending. Either one, it doesn't matter. He either ascended or descended. It just depends on what's happening in the story. Is the Daredevil, did he say, I don't want to fight, and now he just did a whole backflip and just, that guy's dead. I mean, it's PG-13, so you didn't get to see the blood, but he bashed his bare head to the ground. That guy's dead. If he's not dead, he's not recovering from 9 months from now. Okay, that's not Disney Channel stuff. It's not. And then he fights him and then flips him and does the whole kill blow. Or did he up until that point was not so mean, or was he up to that point being nice and he's really letting the guy make it? That's up to you, or that's up to the author, the director, whatever, to decide all that. I'm gonna show Ip Man, and it's just 3 minutes. And we're done because Deanna wants me to finish Ip Man. But I want you to process that I can't explain this stuff if I didn't go through this stuff.
Before you start that, did you explain what the tie was?
Oh, no,
I might have missed it. Okay.
I got a private message. Are you going to play Ip Man scene? Yes, ma'am. We do it both for sure. That Daredevil was dope, and I'm glad that it was a blind view for me, just like Ibrahim said. The tie is when well, let me give you an example first, so you can understand my definition. When Rocky loses the fight, like in Rocky 1, he loses the fight by 1 point, but it doesn't matter because he wins the fight of life. Right? Like we celebrate Rocky losing because it wasn't about Rocky winning the fight. It was about Rocky no longer being this dude from Jersey or wherever he's from, right? Just a regular guy. It was about him becoming the great Rocky. He loses. Don't forget that. He loses because it was not about that. It was about the fight of life. Now, Grace, this is when you tie everything together because you're making strong implications for the hero. You're showing the external outcome and the internal outcome, but the internal outcome should be greater than the external outcome. So maybe I kill somebody in the ring with some death blow, but by the end of the movie, I have the opportunity to do that same death blow, but I hold back on it. So I just knock you out. So the real fight is I'm no longer who I started the movie off as. Jackie Chan, one of his classic movies with the drunken fighting style, he kills somebody with that. And he says, I'm never going to do it again. But towards the end of the movie, the only way he wins in the fight is to go back to his drunken style. But this time, since his drunken style is the same deadly style it was, but he's no longer the deadly person. So he can control it. See, in my book didn't have none of this stuff in there in the first, second, and third draft. And the reader picks up on it. I'm not the same person. I'm not the same person, or I am a better person because I went through the fight. Like Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad. It's great. I'm not a chemistry teacher no more. You understand? I didn't choose this life. The government did this to me. My circumstances did this to me. So this is ultimately, Grace, when a story is changed. So what's the point of a story? The point of a story is to change the character one way or the other. There's no other point of a story. If you're going to tell a story, the character needs to change or the character's situation needs to change. I give you a great example of the character not changing, but the character changing the situation. Back to the Future. Back to the Future is what you call, that's a flat arc. Back to the Future, Marty McFly never changes. He's the same happy-go-lucky guy before the plot. He's the same happy-go-lucky guy at the end. But he changes the world. The world don't change him. Ooh, that gave me chills. That gave me chills. It really did. It is Marty McFly changing the world. The hero's world doesn't change Marty McFly. The hero's world actually becomes more of Marty McFly. Remember, his dad is like a coward, and Bliff is beating him up daily. But at the end, Bliff is washing his dad's car. You know what I'm saying? The world changes around him. His mom is super overweight. At the end, his mom is super thin. Everybody else changes. Everybody else changes. That's the tie to where the internal conflict, the internal change is greater than the external change. Greater. It's what happens at the end of Avengers Endgame. It's what happens after the end of Infinity War, etc. So let's do Ip Man real quick.
All the stories of persistence are stories where you're not changing and the world changes. So if your biographical story, if your business story, if your struggle story is all about like you changing something, then you have to do the Marty McFly formula. If it's about you getting a twist and that's the twist that you're selling to the people, then it has to be about things being wrong and then you changing something and then you becoming a different person. So both of those formulas work in the real world.
Absolutely. And you need them both to work in the real world because you got to sell your product, remember? So if you're the humor consultant, this is a great example. The humor consultants aren't being changed by this world. their very presence is changing the world with humor and some other things too, but you get the point. They are the consistent non-change, changing the world around them. And their marketing should suggest that, in which it does. You know what I'm saying? It should suggest that. It should say that. Antonio's different. Antonio changed with the world, but changed in an ascension manner. All my situations changed me. Different. But you have to, and your marketing should show that. Your marketing should show that, okay? All right, let's watch it, man. It's real short. And I'm gonna do the set, rise, twist, tie. There you go. Wait. That's my Samuel screen yet. So you see the set's been established. So we're looking for the break in the action. So what are the stakes here? He's got to save his wife, obviously, because this guy don't give a damn. Did y'all see him catch the hand on the wife? That's the stakes. Right now, the whole audience is going. Okay, right here is the rise. There's no doubt about it. His face changes. Her face is changing. The enemy is in the fighting stance, and listen to the music. So the rise is building the tension. It's letting all of you process. Look at the director. All this is jacked up. All this, like everything is jacked up around her, but she is pristine and pretty. But she almost got looking like this here elevator. So there's going to be a rise to where the tension is going to build, and after that, it should be pure chaos. It is. So they gave you the rise and twist at the same time. The twist is hero's pissed off. And the twist is the hero don't have to protect his wife no more. So enemy, you about to get all of this. So the twist here is the hero now has the advantage because he can now fight like a demon, even though he's a hero being an angel. That's the twist. He's doing it. Now something's supposed to be changing in him.
So.
Showing his internal conflict. Hey baby, I'm still alive. That's the internal conflict. See that grace that's greater than the fight itself. That he's still, look, even holding the hand. All right. All right. So y'all get it. I can do that all day. It's emotional, right? That fight scene, because I remember the movie, I haven't seen the movie in like 5 years or something, but that fight scene was, he was trying to become had to prove himself to be a master, and everything was in chaos. And that's not the life he asked for, but everybody starts attacking. Go ahead, Phil.
And now I've never had the opportunity to be hit as often as those guys were hitting each other. So am I being unrealistic to think you hit me once like that and I'm not getting back up? Am I being unrealistic on how it works? Because you hit me one time like that, I'm down. I'm not getting back up.
I don't think we can tell a story if you get hit one time and back down. So I think you're being realistic. My understanding, we got to keep telling the story. So
okay, it's for effect.
Yes.
Don't take this literally.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, just checking.
Well, wait, in martial arts, you train to get hit and get back up and keep getting back up.
And that's when, well, what you just did there is you just proved that the director, the writer is answering some questions not.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone can have their own opinion about what happened there. That's one of the most beautiful parts. And you know this, Melissa, one of the most beautiful parts of writing a story. You say a lot, but not too much, because you want everybody. When you write a book, you're telling a million stories.
Exactly. You want everyone to fill in their own blanks.
Right.
Based on their own life experiences.
Absolutely. This is why we always say the book was better than the movie, because once you watch a movie based off a book, that's one story. That's the director's story, how they see it. And if you don't like how they see it, you don't like the movie. you don't like the movie. Exactly. There was a billion Harry Potters until, Daniel Radcliffe showed us, nope, I'm Harry Potter. Right? Once we saw that there. So in conclusion, I'm done. I just wanted to show you that this is the work that was done in silence, not just by me, by all these people. And my book includes all this now. It did not. And by the third draft, I promise you on my life, I was done. And then Ibrahim said, hey man, you probably messed me. Let's do the masterclass, man. Go ahead and check. And I watched Dan Brown. Here's all my notes from Dan Brown. I kid you not. I watched Dan Brown and I was just blown away. When I got to Dan Brown, where is he at? It says Anatomy of a Thriller somewhere. There. When I got to Dan Brown, all this is Dan Brown. Anatomy of a Thriller. All of this. This is his whole masterclass. I wrote down every single thing. And I promise you, this was 98% new information to me. I kid you
and
not.
Antonio.
Yes, sir.
When it's all said and done, when we're at the end of the road, we're looking back. Maybe nothing else in either of our lives matters except the fact, like the whole thing, you started ATS, you started this, you started that. I started this, I did that, I that. Perhaps the only thing at the end of it that matters, and it will look like, is that I came into your life just to drop that link to you.
That's right.
And that is the only thing that changed everything. You never know how it plays out, but that could perhaps be the only thing. Like maybe that's what God sent me to do.
And that's worth it, because it changed my life fundamentally. Because not only did I get, that's right, look at Phil's cup, life is short, do stuff that matters. When Ibrahim gave me that, not only did it give me a fourth draft, but it sent me down a rabbit hole to go do all this other research. So this is what I got. And then it sent me to go do all of this, and then all of this. Because once I finished the fourth draft, guess what? My dialogue sucked. Well, it was average. So I had to go learn how to do dialogue. So I went and bought every Harry Potter book again. because my only example was, well, who does dialogue better than anybody I know? And it was Harry Potter. It was J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter. Because the only way you can learn about a wizarding world was through dialogue. And I start working on my dialogue, and now I don't have this problem. And it all started 100% because of Ibrahim and the opportunity that he gave me. So he's right. At the end of my life, I'll be like, man, grandkids, let me tell you about this guy named Ibrahim, right? Because that's the cool thing about, you know, how we get things done and how life works.
And also like the person who brought up David Sedaris to me is like, they're gone, they're all living their own life separately, but that thing that is like, it's just caused that twist in reality for me, and then it took me down a whole different path.
Whole different path.
So it's just, yeah.
Yeah, and that was that one, the same thing you just said. That was that one thing. That's what they were there for. And you know, my esoteric world, we call it a divine connection. You know, you have these divine connections that just unlock when you're ready to receive. Napoleon Hill tries to tell you this too. I think you're rich. Phil gets it. When you're ready, the other half will show up. And at that time, Ibrahim was ready, and the other half was a person that said, hey, do this. And that's what a divine connection is. You think divine connection is some spiritual experience, or, you know.
Antonio, the
Yes,
funny
sir.
thing is, I wasn't even ready. Like, they dropped that name, and then it took me 3 years, and I was like, the name just popped up in masterclass, by the way. I was like, oh, David Sedaris has a masterclass. And then I started watching, and I was like, perhaps I could do this. But I would not have clicked that masterclass. It would have been a gem ignored had I not heard that from that person 3 years ago.
That's powerful, man. That's powerful. That's powerful. That's powerful because the universe is always sending us our breakthrough, and we always go, whatever. I'm not going to click on that breakthrough. Stupid breakthrough. Go ahead, Phil.
Well, I've said this before, but you know, when you die, 3 things happen. First thing happens when you die is whatever you think is going to happen when you die. If God has given us a free will to create our existence here on the physical plane, I think it makes sense that God would give us that same free will to create ourselves on the spiritual plane. Second thing happens is you get to look at videos of your life. When I'm on stage, I do my best Homer Simpson. I go, don't. I know they're not going to let me have the fast forward button. I know they're not going to let me have reverse. I know erase is out of the question. But God, could I have the mute button? Because there's been things that I said that while I was saying them, I didn't want to say them. I couldn't stop myself, and I don't want to hear me say it again. Then the third thing that happens is you get to look at a series of videos. These are the videos of the lives of the people that you have affected. I pray that we all live our life in a way in which we look forward to seeing our videos.
Oof. Phil. Man.
Amen.
Amen. I need to be on a t-shirt, Phil. That last line need to be on a t-shirt. What's that about? And you tell him that story.
He used to end his presentations that way.
That's good.
Every time, and he'd be down on his knee.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. That's real good. I've heard him say it before, but that hit me differently this time. I guess since we've been setting the stage, right, for that kind of talk, it hit me differently this time for sure. That was powerful. That was powerful. I believe everybody's right. Ibrahim's right. I'm just please, you're going to lunch on February 1st. Even if you don't lunch, that is a lunch. Let me tell you, it's just not a lunch that serves you, but it is most certainly a lunch because you have been here and you agreed that you were going to do something on February 1st. And then maybe you're like Ibrahim, and maybe 3 years from now on February 1st, you'd be like, let me do it. I don't know. But I promise you, February 1st will come, and when it passes, it will bless you, whether it be 3 years from now or 10 years from now. But people like Adonia, and I'm very specifically talking to my Adonias and my Sandras and my Fridas and my Amandas. You're stuck in somebody else's dreams. And you think you're wasting your time, but I promise you, God don't work that way. I promise you, it's not at all. So in that silence where you do not get the credit, it does not feel good, that you will not get a pat on the back, You need to work on your craft. That's what you should be doing. If you can't work on your dreams, at least, Adonia, work on selling from the stage. Work on doing the best webinar. You have to, because not doing that is a planted seed of more not doing that. And you're going to end up getting a bunch of harvest of not doing that. Because if Phil keeps saying that they're going to be your first client, how you know Phil's saying that? How you know that's not God using Phil's throat to tell you that? Because that's what I believe. Right? Yeah, that's what I believe. I believe that is God using Phil's throat to tell you, the same way Ibrahim got God to jump in somebody else and say, hey, here's a name that's going to change your life forever. This is what it is.
I received that.
There it is. There it is. So that was my point of today. That we got to work. So I'm glad Phil changed it to work smartly, right? Work smart. Because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about, did I need to know all this? Yes. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. But if you'd have told me, all right, Tony, as soon as you start, you're gonna have to do all this. So I'm not gonna start then. You're crazy as hell. I'm not gonna do it. That's too much. I'm not gonna do it. Just Grace, get somebody to write me a book. Get somebody to write me a book. Send them on this way. I wrote every word. And the first draft sucked. The second draft sucked. The third draft sucked, but I thought it was amazing. Like, I was consciously aware that draft 1 and 2 were garbage. When I got to draft 3, I said, this is my very best effort. And the truth is, Melissa, it was. That's the draft you read, Melissa, the first time. The truth is, it was my very best effort. And then Ibrahim said, hey, masterclass. And I got 98% new information, which then led me to a whole century of worth of more information. And now it was no longer my best effort, Grace, because I had expanded my information and I wasn't doing anything with the information I just got. If you're a speaker, I want y'all to pay attention to something. Look how huge, look how wide my hands are. I got this much information. The truth is, that's not wide at all. But I am so trained to be on stage and so trained for public speaking that I know how to use my hands according to the stage. And the stage I have is this little bitty square on your screen. So when I want to show you something big, I do that. When I want to show you something that you haven't even got to yet, I say it's way out here somewhere. Or when I want to show you something small, my hands are here. I'm trained for that. I don't even think about it no more. I've been doing it for years. So I make money for speaking. And without that training, I wouldn't be able to sit here and hold you for 2 hours. Think about that. Think about that. Because it's your turn now. You got to work in the silence, because February 1st is coming. And I promise you, whatever you put out is going to be your best garbage. It's going to be fantastic garbage. And I know I'm supposed to tell y'all, Melissa, it's going to be great. Lies. Even you know it won't be great 10 years from now. 10 years from now, you're going to go, you know what, I launched from 10 years ago and I didn't have it. Even you going to say that about you. But it needs to be your very best spirit of excellent garbage, because people will buy your garbage as long as it's excellent. Because the market only rewards excellence. Don't you come out here February 1st putting some stuff up together. Because right now, Arlenbrook is completely coded out. 500,000 lines of code. The Netflix and the Spotify and the Discord. I'm not even sure if I'm going to release it with the Discord. There's all in one. I got to figure out how the hell to make them one now. That's my problem now, the user experience. I'll figure it out. It's my problem. But now that I've did 2 of the best accomplishments of my whole life and they're going to be bind together, not only do I got new problems off screen I haven't seen yet, but now I can fulfill any promises that I have made because I had to go through this BS. I'm trying to get y'all to hear me. Trying to get you to hear me. I had to go through enough steps to take me to where I'm now ready to fulfill these promises. Because I couldn't have did it with a business university. Somebody's not hearing me. Somebody's really not hearing me. Like seriously, I couldn't have done it with a successful business because the dreams I'm trying to fulfill is far more successful than what the business university, like that vehicle couldn't handle that promise. Some of y'all businesses need to pass on. But you don't have to throw them away because every single thing that the business university did is now lead magnets that gets all these people for free. God is not wasting your time. Work smart in the silence. I promise you it'll be worth it unless you just stop working. And then that's a different story. That's all I got for you today. Antonio T. Smith Jr., you can plant better. You can dominate. Thank you so much, everybody. Love you, everybody.
Love you
Love you
more.
more.
Love you.
All right, y'all. Good job. Thank you, Ibrahim, for masterclass. I appreciate you. All right, y'all. Y'all
All
have a
right.
good
Love
one.
you more. Bye-bye.